At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Thursday morning. Hoping to have a good start to your day. A little chilly in some spots, not so much in other areas. Reading about 40 degrees, but you head on to Chico, 39, 37 in Corning. Look at Alturas, you're at 20 degrees this morning. Of course, no big surprises there. It's typically colder up there in Modoc County, 21 degrees for Wairika, and we've got mid to upper 30s for parts of you along the coast, although a bit warmer out in Crescent City at about 47 degrees out there this morning. We take a look at the dense fog advisory. Yes, the National Weather Service finally decided to issue a dense fog advisory for the Sacramento Valley and really kind of north here. Now, not everyone's seen the fog right now and hasn't seen any fog just yet in some cases. So really what we're going to be dealing with here is, I would say, some areas of patchy, dense fog through the morning areas. Some seeing the fog, others not so much. It just depends on where you are. Now, this advisory is through 10 o'clock this morning, so just be prepared for the fact that you may run into some dense fog on your morning commute in the valley. And you can also see a freezing fog advisory, as we've seen every single morning this week for western Siskiyou County, in particular Scott Valley, Wairika, Fort Jones, Etna, seeing that potential for not only fog, but freezing fog. And by the way, your fog has been fairly persistent through a good portion of the day. Now, the model here, or the visibility, the map here is not picking up on that fog that we're seeing in Etna, but definitely seeing the fog there. Even around Wairika, you've got 0 mile visibility, and that's out at the Montague Airport, by the way, that observation. So that's where you're seeing that zero visibility. And you'll also notice we've got a 1/4 mile visibility in parts of Trinity County. That's the way it's been every single morning this week so far, right? So it burns off by usually before noon. You take it out to the valley, and look at this. Red Bluff has been seeing visibility down to less than a mile. And you can see, but Redding 9, 1.6 though in parts of Chico, and 2 miles out in Oroville. So again, you can see it's patchy in the valley, and that's what I expect here through the morning hours. Let's take a look at some of the cameras, Caltrans cameras this morning. This is Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? But there are going to be other spots around Redding, especially near bodies of water and open fields that had recent irrigation, where there's that available moisture, and you'll probably see some of that dense fog there. Look at Red Bluff. If you watched my morning update at 6 a.m. Earlier this morning, very dense fog on this camera. It has dissipated since then. And then we take you out to Chico, or the Chico area. This is Highway 99 at Neal Road. This is the way it's been all morning, right? At least through the early morning hours, it hasn't been all that foggy. So some areas, not so much fog. Other areas, definitely seeing more of that fog. And by the way, I want to show you this beautiful photo sent by James Burnett. This is a view from Old Shasta. Look at that, beautiful shot. If this is from your backyard, I am very jealous, James. This is gorgeous, looking out at Lassen Park, or Lassen Peak, that is. Now, if you want to share your photo like James did, James sent this photo through the free Weather NorCal app. And if you want to see it on the morning update at 6 a.m. or right here live on Coffee with Krueger, you can do that. And maybe I'll use your photo. Just go to your iPhone or your Android, search for Weather NorCal in your app store, download the app for free. Before you know it, you're sharing photos and you're seeing it here on Coffee with Krueger. All right, here is a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Thursday, January 15th. It's the middle of the month, 2026. Look at the winds. That's the key to that fog development. We've got very calm winds out there this morning. You can see generally below 5 miles per hour, and that's calm enough for that fog to develop. So the winds, that's one key factor that we're looking at here. Now, out the door this morning, yeah, I've got fog for you in the valley, patchy fog. Fog in Trinity County, especially those mountain valleys. And we're also looking at that fog along the coast. Now, you'll notice here for Siskiyou County, you've got sunny skies. However, in western Siskiyou County, Scott Valley, you've got the fog. So again, it's those microclimates here, right? So many of them. Here's that ridge of high pressure that is in place. And look at that big void of clouds. Look at how big that ridge of high pressure is. This is unusually strong ridge of high pressure for this time of the year. And that's the reason why we saw temperatures in the low 70s in Redding yesterday. We could see that again today, low 70s. But if the fog develops, it may not get quite as warm. So you can see the forecast visibility. It's actually doing a pretty good job here. Look where it's showing the most dense fog. Red Bluff, right? And that's where we're seeing it this morning. Now, as we go into the morning hours, by midday, that's all pretty much gone. But by tonight and tomorrow morning, I think we can see the redevelopment of some of that fog. It may have a harder time reaching as far north as Red Bluff, but we'll see. And then by midday on Friday, it should burn off. And we may see another repeat of this Friday night into Saturday morning. Hey, you heading out to the ski park? You might want to get out there in the next couple of days because it's getting more and more dismal as far as snow is concerned. We're seeing it drop. We're down to 34 inches at the top of Douglas. They're just calling it spring conditions now. Essentially what you've got here is that firm snow in the morning. They groom it. And then by the late morning, where especially the sun-exposed areas, it's getting pretty soft and a little bit slushy. Road conditions are great because there hasn't been any snow lately. There may be some patchy areas of ice on the ski park highway between 89 and the ski park, but otherwise, just you know how the road is. It's very bumpy because of all the cracks in the road. Maybe we should talk to Forest Service to maybe fix that road. Wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, from what I understand, they've closed Ashland because of the lack of snow. And I don't think that the ski park is far behind, unfortunately. So take the day off of work, whatever. Maybe get out there this morning and get some skiing in before there's that potential they close it down. I know my son has practice for Alpine on Friday. He's questioning as to whether, and we're all questioning as to whether or not they're going to have practice on Friday because the park may not even be open at that point. Temperatures mid to upper 60s, even low 70s for this afternoon. And we're talking upper 50s to even some low to mid 60s for the higher elevations. The coast, you're looking at temperatures mid 60s, give or take. Now tonight, we're dropping down to low to mid 40s for the valley. Another cold night for the mountains, teens and 20s there, especially to the north and east. For Trinity County, mid to upper 20s, even some low 30s, mid to upper 30s inland for Del Norte and Humboldt counties. And for the coast, you're looking at temperatures in the low 40s for your overnight lows. So let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. So I've got AM fog in there for today. It's going to be patchy fog. We're going to be looking at that here through the morning. We could see more of that tomorrow and even Saturday. But really the overall thing I want you to notice here is the trend with these temperatures. You see how they're just slowly dropping. And by the middle to latter part of next week, we're down to the low 60s. For the coast, and of course, we're not going to see much variance there in the temperatures, but upper 50s on average for the next 7 days. Morning fog, as we've seen for many of the inland valleys and the valleys of Trinity County. Those mountain valleys of Trinity County still seeing that potential for fog that we've seen in the morning, the last several mornings this week, and probably even through the rest of this week. And that may even linger into the weekend. Siskiyou County, the only area that we're going to see most of that fog is going to be in Scott Valley, Etna, Fort Jones, and some of those mountain valleys even west of that. But the rest of Siskiyou County, sunny. At Modoc County, sunny. Even sunny skies here for the eastern mountains. And again, let's see that slight dip in the temperatures by the middle of next week. So we take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning, and there's a look at the spillway at Lake Oroville. You can still see there's that release of water that they've been really persistently releasing that water through the week. Lake Oroville, North Forebay. It doesn't look like we have much fog there. You can kind of see that things are fairly clear. Main Street, Chico on Highway 32. Looks like we do have, it looks a little bit of reduced visibility there. Also, it looks like a little bit of reduced visibility Highway 99 at Neal Road, but nothing major. But I just want to remind you that on your morning commute, there's a very good chance you may run into some dense fog in some areas. Now, we don't see that right now over the exit of Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. It looks fairly clear. You can see off in the distance, even the silhouette of Lassen Peak with the sun behind it. But this is something I've been showing you every morning this week. Sutter Buttes, it's been clear, but you see that layer of fog that we are seeing down into Butte County, Glenn County, and of course south of that heading towards Sacramento. So again, this is that sign that we're starting to see that temperature inversion that we talk about with this radiation fog really kind of beginning to take shape and having an impact in the form of fog that we've been kind of talking about for a while. I updated this camera a little bit earlier. Now it has frozen up again, but you can see out at Crescent City, clear skies early this morning, and most likely those clear skies this morning. Bald Hill West kind of really within that layer of where the fog is as far as the elevation is concerned. But there you can see Soda Ridge. Look at that. Beautiful shot looking at the moon and that sun rising just off in the distance. Some beautiful colors there. No fog there, right? But there is fog, right? Like we've seen every single morning this week in Scott Valley in Siskiyou County, just socked in with that fog, and that'll probably stay fairly persistent through at least the early to mid-afternoon hours. Still seeing plenty of snow up there at Lassen Park. You can see off the distance the snow-capped mountains, and you can see all the snow there at the visitor center as well. There you can see, of course, we got a couple of people checking in here this morning. Jackie from Trinidad is checking in this morning. She's saying, good morning from Trinidad, and good morning to you, Jackie. So glad you could join us this morning. We've got a fairly new name here. I don't think I've ever seen Lori. Good morning and welcome to the show, Lori. So glad to see your face this morning. Good morning, 7 miles south of Red Bluff. Foggy here. All right, well, thank you for the report. That's what I love about what we do. You know where you live. You know your conditions. And that makes my job easier. If I know what the weather's like where you are, I can better report the weather for many areas around the area. So let me know what it's like over where you are. We've got Curtis Brown, a regular this morning, checking in, saying good morning and good morning to you. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Although, still love all of our sponsors, but we still need to recognize, what am I doing here? I'm messing everything up. I got a little button happy with my there we go. All right, so let's get into the Ag Report. We got our NorCal Ag Report sponsored by Lassen County Nursery, and Jerry Lennon went out and talked to a woman at the farmer's market who makes soup from fresh vegetables, locally grown. So check it out. This really cool Ag Report about soup. I know, and it's that time of the year, right? People want to eat soup because it's nice and cool out, so check it out.
Hi, I'm Jerry Lennon with Weather NorCal, and this is the Ag Report sponsored by Lassen Canyon Nursery. I am at the Saturday Farmers Market in downtown Chico, right in front of Fran's Farm Fresh Soup, a very busy place, especially on a chilly morning like this. I am with Fran of Fran's Farm Fresh Soup. What is the secret to your success? Is it the soup or the cold weather or a little bit of both?
It's all the good food, the good people, the good vibes out here, lots of good soup, lots of good vegetables.
Tell me about how you make the soup. Is it from homegrown products, something from your farm? Explain.
Yeah, we have a vegetable farm. Grub CSA Farm's a vegetable farm, and so we always have a lot of excess squash and different kind of things. And so I just make the soup out of our vegetables.
What is the soup of choice that people come to and say, I love Fran's blank soup?
Everybody loves the chicken wild rice soup.
Really?
Chicken and wild rice, really popular, really good chicken broth. But I love all the curry things because I'm a curry freak. So a lot of people like the Indian curry flavors, and I really like everyone loves all of them. They're all wonderful.
How busier does it get when it's a hot day like this, or when it's a cold day like this, as opposed to when it's 100, 105?
Well, I only do this booth until Memorial Day weekend, and then it goes to sleep and comes waking up at the first day of fall.
So cold weather is a big moneymaker for you.
Cold weather is a better time for soup. Although soup's good year-round, really, but I don't want to stand in front of the hot stove when it's hot.
Yeah. how expensive is a good bowl of soup here at Fran's?
Well, yeah, I think my prices are pretty reasonable. You have $8 for the small one, which is one serving, or $15 for the large, which I think is 2 servings.
You know, I noticed that there's a lot of elderly people, especially, that seem to really appreciate the soup more than the younger people. Do you think that's going to change?
I think the elderly people are maybe a little more health conscious and don't want to be eating a lot of dairy and gluten, possibly, and maybe the younger people will get their fill of fast food and decide to eat some soup.
Well, I can see that you're really busy. There's a line here, so I'm going to end this interview right now and just say thank you to Fran, and good luck for Fran's Farm Fresh Soup for the remainder of the chilly season that we're experiencing right now.
Well, come on down to the farmers market. It's a fun place to see your friends and neighbors and eat some good food and buy some vegetables. Support the local farmers.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And there's your Ag Report. I'm Jerry O'Lennon for Weather NorCal.
Once again, I want to thank Jerry O'Lennon for going out there getting that report. How interesting was that? You know, kind of the local soup like that. I bet it is absolutely delicious. My wife and I like to go down to the farmer's market there over the weekend at times. And so maybe we'll have to check that out next time we're out there at the Chico Farmers Market. Be sure to check that out. Once again, I also want to thank Lassen County Nursery, Kenny Elwood from Lassen County Nursery, for his sponsorship of the NorCal Ag Report. None of this would be possible without our sponsors. And speaking of our sponsors, of course, you saw this a little bit earlier, Wind River Resort and Casino has been sponsoring Coffee with Krueger since day one. We are so grateful for their sponsorship and what they do for Weather NorCal. So you should also be grateful, because without our sponsors, this would not be free, folks. You know, there are other services out there like mine that do weather for, you know, different communities, and they charge like a subscription fee to have access to the weather information. In my opinion, weather information should be free. And the only way to make that possible and worth my while, and I've got to pay the bills, is to have the sponsors. And that's why we love our sponsors, because they're able to make it free for you. Hey, we got someone checking in this morning before we get into this here. Kind of interesting. We got Wacy. I don't. Sometimes I shouldn't even attempt the name, but from Ukiah. You know, and I love to see some of you out in the rural areas. I've actually had people in your county ask if I can do weather coverage for your area. One of the things that I mentioned is that it gets very difficult. And there's a lot that goes into the forecast just for the area I cover now, and it takes a lot of time to generate that forecast. So if I start introducing more microclimates, now it's going to take even more time. So it gets a little bit difficult. So there you go. Oh, I got it right. Wacy. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for checking in this morning, and thank you for your comments. And we certainly love it when people just even say good morning or hello, but we also love your weather reports as well. So at Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Once again, I want to thank Wind River for their support. So we look at our weather headlines. We've got more of that mountain valley fog. And you know, even since last week, we've been talking about the potential for fog developing in the valley, and we really haven't seen it materialize in most cases, at least for us here in extreme northern California. But we're beginning to see it materialize a little bit, especially in Tehama County. We've seen the patchy fog in many of the mountain valleys through the last several mornings this week, and we're still seeing that. And one of the reasons is high pressure. It's holding on strong and will hold strong most likely even into early next week. And that, outside of any fog developing, has been keeping our temperatures above normal for this time of the year. We got up to 72 degrees out at the Redding Airport yesterday. Very spring-like, right? But we are seeing signs that high pressure is beginning to break down. And we're going to get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast, which is sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Hearing isn't just about sound, it's about being part of every moment. This isn't your grandparents' hearing aid, it's a smart hearing aid for modern life. It's Bluetooth enabled, easy to control from your phone with your personal prescription, delivering the clarity you need. All that technology at half the cost of competitors, so you never miss a moment worth hearing. With our Here For You program, you get personal care and support every step of the way. This is what quality care sounds like.
Definitely a chilly start for some of you, especially in the higher elevations when we're talking Modoc County, Alturas here at about 20 degrees, 23 degrees for Susanville. Temperatures anywhere in the mid to even upper 30s in the valley right now, although out in the Redding Airport about 40. 32 degrees in Weirville, even colder in Hayfork at about 28 degrees. 36 for Eureka and Crescent City, a bit warmer at about 47 degrees out there this morning. All right, so we've been talking about this, and I wanted to kind of just give you a refresher course on this radiation fog, otherwise known as Thule fog. And I went over this several weeks ago when we had that fog event where it just was persistent and there every single day for several weeks. Certainly not the case this time, right? We're not seeing that. But this is the overall setup that we've been watching at least try to take shape. So a couple of things. Number one, it's called radiation fog because the typical setup is you've got clear skies and any heat we receive through the day starts to escape off into space. If you have a blanket of clouds, that really traps in that warmer air, and that's when we see those warmer temperatures overnight. But when it clears out, it allows the heat overnight to just radiate off into space. All right? Now, what we've seen happen over the last several weeks prior to this event, we saw a lot of rainfall. Remember all the rain that we saw? That is a lot of moisture on the ground. So you've got the colder air that's escaping. The moisture is coming up out of the surface. You've got drier air above that. And what happens is you get what's known as a temperature inversion. Typically, the temperature as you increase in height gets colder. However, this situation, it's colder. All the colder air is getting trapped into the valley, and then that warmer air above that. So it's known as a temperature inversion. So for example, yesterday it was like 34 degrees at the Redding Airport, but then I got a report from someone in Old Shasta where it was like in the 50s. Prime example of that temperature inversion. Warmer in the foothills and mountains than it is in the valley, especially in the morning. That right there, when you have that colder air, when you have the temperature drop down to what's known as a dew point and all the moisture, that's when you start to see that fog. And we've been watching these elements begin to take shape. But one of the things you also need is stagnant air. You need very calm winds, and we certainly got that out there as well. But that's essentially what we've been watching here. And the ridge of high pressure is kind of where it all starts, where we talk about that ridge of high pressure, keeping things clear, keeping that stagnant air, and that's when you start to see that fog development. But we really haven't seen much of that. So as a result, temperatures have been getting much warmer. Redding yesterday got up to 72 degrees, right? And we're going to be looking at those temperatures slowly drop because this ridge will eventually break down. And you see that. So as we go into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you see how the ridge is still there? Not as strong, but we still have that ridge in place even through Monday. But what's happening is you see this area of low pressure right here. That's going to kind of move in a little bit closer. We've got some colder air coming down from the north. Now, when we have storms coming from the north, it's important to note that typically they don't have a lot of moisture to work with. So even though it would if it had moisture to work with, you'd have all this rain, you'd have all the snow in the mountains, but we don't have a lot of moisture to work with. And I'll show you that here. This is known as the water vapor image, or it kind of shows you where the available moisture is. Right here, right? That is what's known as an atmospheric river, but it's plenty of moisture. This right here is dry air. And you can see that here, right? So you start getting in the browns and even the blues still fairly dry. All right, so let's take you through the weekend. We take you into early next week. There's that area of low pressure, by the way, that's kind of beginning to develop. Now you see the little areas of green in there? All right, you're getting a little bit of moisture. So as we get towards the end of next week, there is that slight chance that we may see a light shower for parts of the coast, maybe some of the higher elevations, but nothing to write home about if it even develops. It's still pretty far out, folks, so we have to kind of iron out that potential. As it stands right now, I'm not even putting rain in the forecast for next Thursday or even Friday. And it really looks to stay fairly dry through most of really the rest of this month. Seeing some signs of change, at least potential for rain near the end of the month. But that is so far out, I don't want to begin to say, all right, it's going to rain at the end of the month. No, we still can't say that for sure. But nothing looks all that promising until maybe the end of the month, right? So let's talk about that fog again, because you can see here as we go into midday, any fog that should develop this morning, it's going to burn off by noon. And then we could see another round going into tonight, tomorrow morning, especially around Chico southward. And then you see it burns off again midday on Friday. And then by Friday night, Saturday, you start to see that kind of creep its way northward again. We could see more fog going into Saturday morning for parts of the valley. Now, as far as rain is concerned, yeah, looking at the long range, it's in that near normal category. Nothing promising, right? It's not until you start getting into the greens that you're going, all right, we have a better chance to see some of that rain. But when you're in this gray area, right, for lack of a better term, to these browns, your chances for rain are pretty slim. And even if you do, it's nothing all that significant. So we take a look at the 10-day trend, and this is really that showing that signs of that ridge of high pressure breaking down. Pretty warm today, pretty warm tomorrow, but you see how it's ticking down. And we're back closer to normal and maybe even closer to below normal in some cases by the end of next week into that next weekend. And typically this time of the year, when you see those temperatures drop, that's also a sign that we might start to see some rain. But again, I'm just not seeing a lot of it in the long range at this point. But do we need to worry about it at this point? No, we don't. This is guilt-free spring-like weather that you can enjoy and not be too concerned about the lack of rain, okay? Because we're doing okay. Our reservoirs are beautifully high, right? We're up to over 80% capacity in most cases. And historically, you're approaching 140% of average here for Lake Oroville. So very nice. Now, we talked about the snowpack. It is certainly lower than it should be for this time of the year, so we could use a lot more snow. So that might be in that area of, okay, maybe semi not so guilt-free enjoying this, because Shasta Ski Park, it's only a matter of days, I think, before they're going to have to shut it down again, because there's just not going to be enough snow out there. It's melting. It's too warm. All right, so there you can see the wave heights. They are dropping as we go into your Friday, so certainly some good news if you do need to be on a small boat. So your marine forecast, south winds at 5 to 10 knots, waves from the north at 6 feet at 6 seconds, and from the west at 6 feet at about 14 seconds. Patchy dense fog out there, and there is still a small craft advisory this morning, which should be allowed to expire this afternoon. Here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We've got mid-50s, even some low 60s for some of you in Trinity County. Still that morning fog for the mountain valleys in Trinity and even Del Norte and Humboldt counties. You're seeing that in the morning in particular, but burning off by midday. Even some fog along the coast in the morning in particular. 56 out in Hoopa as well as Willow Creek. Now, Siskiyou County, here's the deal. Fort Jones, Etna, this whole area, fog. Fog this morning and probably fog through the morning and even into the at least early afternoon before it starts to burn off before sunset. There you can see, of course, otherwise you've got sunny skies and temperatures 40s and 50s. For Modoc County, not much in the way of fog. You're looking at temperatures mainly in the 50s, although Aden about 65, 55 for California Pines, and Canby and Cedarville about 49 degrees. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, temperatures there should be in the 40s and 50s, although warmer. Shingletown and Paradise in the mid to upper 60s there. Take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south, and there you can see out towards Oroville. I've got morning fog in there for pretty much everybody in the valley for today and tomorrow, but it's going to be patchy. Not everyone's seen that we're not seeing that widespread dense fog that we've seen before. So it's going to be patchy this morning. So on your morning commute, you may run into some of that. Meanwhile, we take you up to the north. Look at this. We got 73 for Lakehead, but 70 in Redding. This is a sign of that temperature inversion, right? You go up higher in elevation, the temperature increases, and that's why it's warmer in Lakehead than it is in Redding. 71 for Palo Cedro, and there you can see out towards Cottonwood a temperature of about 70 degrees. All right, here's your 7-day forecast for Redding, and I think we'll be around 70 today, tomorrow, give or take. I mean, we could even get up to 71, 72, and it looks like after that, we see temperatures start to slowly drop. Many of you may have Martin Luther King Jr. Day off on Monday. Should be a high of about 67 with mostly sunny skies, back down to the low 60s by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Uh-oh, something happened with my little box here. And so I'm pushing the button and it's not working. So I have to do things manually. Let me try that again. No, it's not working. Maybe you guys can still hear me. All right, well, okay. Little bit of a technical issue. There we go. I have to do it manually through the computer system, so you'll be seeing me kind of switching things around a little bit here. But yeah, that's what it looks like there. Let's just do that. There we go. Now you can see bigger. So yeah, there you go. Wow, looks like a bit of activity here since I went up to the wall to give you some weather reports. And oh, it's not going to work. Oh, bummer. I can't show your posts now because my little box Stream Deck is called. Stopped working on me this morning. I think at some point I did see it blank screen and then go back up, so something may have happened. But anyway, we've got Jackie Dixon this morning saying, I love soup year-round. So you're, of course, talking about the Ag Report. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I was glad Jerry Olen was able to get that. What a great, cool, unique story about that soup, by the way. Wacy, boy, you're getting pretty active out there this morning, and you are saying soup year-round can be good. Yes. Have a great day, everyone. Drive safe if you're headed to work. And Wacy saying, have a great day. Well, I hope you have a great day as well. Debbie Castro, regular, saying, what a great line. Guilt-free spring weather. Yeah, I agree. It is guilt-free for the most part. Because some people would argue that, you know, the ski park, it needs more snow. It's probably going to shut down in the next couple of days. I haven't heard any word that they're doing that. But based on the fact that the snow just continues to diminish and diminish, we're seeing more and more exposed dirt and rocks. That's when they tend to start to shut it down. I do know, like as I mentioned, Ashland has closed down again for the second time this season. And Jackie's saying, yes, we definitely need more snow. Jackie's saying, yes, we can hear you. So it was just my Stream Decks box. That's great. Lori's saying, I watch regular, just don't comment much. Thank you for the great reports. Well, thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. And I try to remind myself that. I tend to sometimes not get a ton of comments, which is fine. I'm not, but I do know that I am hopefully a part of the morning routine. And my whole idea behind all of this, and I've mentioned this before, is that, you get up in the morning, you can on your Roku box or on your big screen TV on Roku or YouTube, you can watch Coffee with Krueger live and have it on in the background. And I used to always have people tell me this, and this is not a dig at news because they do have their place and they're important. I'm not going to say that they're not, because they are. They give you reliable, they give you news source. I'm not going to say reliable. It depends. That's all opinion. But they give you that news source. But what people would always tell me when I worked at a TV station, that they said they always would have it on, but they had it on mute. And then when they saw that I was on, they would turn mute off and get the weather report. Bottom line, and this is the way it's always been in TV news for years and years and years, it's always been the number one reason why people watch the local news is for the weather. So Weather NorCal, why not just have weather? You don't have to sift through the news. The weather's there for you. So there you go. All right, enough of that. Enough of that. Well, that is going to do it for us this morning. I would normally put up the music, but I can't because my little box isn't working, and I don't know if I know how to even do it manually on here. It should be going. Well, maybe I can. I don't know. No music this morning, but we are going to go to, let's do this. We are going to go to, boy, when my Stream Deck box goes down, I go down too, apparently. It's what's happening. We've got ourselves a beautiful shot here. What I'm going to do is go over here. Where is it? There it is. And we're going to go to this. You're not going to see my face anymore. You're not going to hear any music, but you're going to see some beautiful shots. And then we'll wrap up the show. Hope you all have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Yeah, Curtis, you're saying I'm not seeing all the comments. What am I doing wrong? You're not seeing it on Facebook, maybe? It should be on Facebook. They are on the comments on Facebook, but you're not seeing them on the screen that I usually put them on there because my Stream Deck box is down, so I can't put them on the screen for that reason. There may be a way I can do it manually through the software, but... oh, yeah. And Krista's saying... keep an eye out for Mike Krueger driving around his Weather NorCal wrapped car. Can't miss him. Yeah, it's pretty much in your face. And I got to tell you, I am so grateful for those of you out there that take the time when you see me on the road. Yesterday was like exceptionally a large amount of people that were waving, honking their horn, putting their window down, giving me a thumbs up. Don't be afraid to express that to me. I love that stuff because that makes me feel more validated that people are indeed watching. And so I appreciate that. I had my window down. I was waiting at a stoplight and her window was down too. She says, hi, Mike. Thank you. Love watching Weather NorCal. I mean, it's so cool. I love that interaction. Don't be, if you see me in public, don't be afraid to say hello. Tell me you watch Weather NorCal because again, there was that transition phase where people thought I was still at the TV station or thought I was retired or wasn't doing anything. And so when you say you watch me every day, let me know where you're watching. Say I watch Weather NorCal every day, right? Or whatever. I certainly appreciate those comments. So thank you, Krista, for kind of bringing that up because it kind of made me think about that. Yeah, there you go. There you go. But anyway, so again, I always appreciate that. In fact, I ran into someone at the store. He waited until I walked up to the store because he saw the car, and he said he discovered me after the floods, and he loves what I'm doing. And I said, do you have the app? He said, no. So I made sure he got the app on his phone, and now he's a happy customer, even happier customer. So that's great. All right, so there you go. Thanks again, Krista, for that comment. We kind of got going on that. So we're going to wrap up the show. And again, I don't have any music. Maybe I might be able to do this. Can I? Can I not? Maybe. Oh, I think I can do it here. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Oh, I think I can if I do this. Oh, there it is. I think the music's up. There you go. All right, so the music is up. We're good. We're good to go. And we're going to leave you with some great images. In the meantime, have yourselves a great rest of your day. Oh, I need to do it this way. Have a good day, everybody.